there everyone, welcome back to Redmond TV, the show where I explain all of my controversial views and opinions to open discussion in the comments down below. Today we're going to be talking about the incident where Liverpool fans were throwing coins at Pep Guardiola, Liverpool fans being a plural term and also probably being used to exercise people's thoughts on maybe it was a big bunch of Liverpool fans who were throwing these coins at Pep Guardiola. Now, news has since came out from some reports in City and wider reports as well that the combined total of money that was thrown at Pep Guardiola was £2.50. Now, listen, Pep Guardiola doesn't mind usually money being thrown at him, but usually it's a lot more than that. And on top of that as well, it was 3 coins, to be precise, or 3 pieces of metal, which was unrightly and unjustly thrown at Pep Guardiola. I don't care if it was 1 people or 2 people. If they was identified, which, let's be honest, they most likely weren't, then yet they should be punished in the way that the club sees fit by banning them from the stadium, because that is genuinely disgustingly wrong, which I'm sure we've got many other examples of where people throw bananas on the pitch or where they throw bottles on the pitch or whatever have you. It can be a very, very hostile environment when you're going up to that corner flag, or when you are in the dugout and you're sitting or you're standing in front of all the fans, and when you're riling up the crowd, something's gonna happen. I'm not trying to say Pep Guardiola deserved it, because he didn't at all, but it's not even a but, it's just an and. I think it's wrong of whoever threw it. Did he instigate it? I'm not sure, but it still doesn't result, or should not result, in someone throwing a coin at your head. Now, the point of me making this video is purely on the gist of what I don't appreciate is that this was painted out straight away to be like a big bunch of Liverpool fans, because there was a lot of controversy in the game based on decisions, based on certain aspects of the game as well, and that's fine. That's more than okay. That people have their opinions on the VAR decisions, and I've got a video out on that now. However, the one thing I don't like is just categorising Liverpool fans as everyone was throwing coins at Pep Guardiola, which opens up the jokes about Liverpool's wage and stuff like that, which, listen, again, it might not be some people's banter. I get that cultures create banter. I feel like more people take offence to it more than others. I think Scousers are a lot more okay with it, but at the end of the day, a lot of people like to take the piss out of people who are from Liverpool, and they like to associate with people from Liverpool with stuff like this. And that's why when the news comes out that it was probably, well, it was actually confirmed to be 3 coins, which totals up to be £2.50, most likely means it was no more than 2 people. I would assume it was 1, but I can imagine it maybe being a friend with another friend. Well, I suppose the maximum it can be is 3, because it was 3 coins, but I don't see it being more than 1 or 2 people. I think that what I assume is it was 1 person trying to dash it off Pep's ball to the head, missed the first time, missed the second time, missed the third time, and thought, I'm going to be skint if I throw any more coins here, plus I need to get a bevy soon. It was probably just a low-life fat fella with a fat beard who's been divorced for 10 years, who's got nothing to live for, who done this to Pep Guardiola. And I can understand people being angry at this one individual. I just don't appreciate the fact that it's trying to be categorised to all Liverpool fans, because what won't be talked about is all the Hillsborough chants that were made by a more than collective bunch of City fans. It weren't the majority, it was certainly a minority, and not everyone was getting involved, which I can appreciate. There weren't really anyone telling these people to shut up either, from what I seen. I weren't in the City stand, and that hasn't been mentioned by Manchester City or the football club. But then you've also got these things about Jurgen Klopp coming out about how he was xenophobic. Now, be very careful when you label people as borderline xenophobic, when all he came out and said is that there's 3 teams in the world that no one can financially compete against, which is PSG, Newcastle United and Manchester City. Now, if that's xenophobic, then I didn't know speaking facts was xenophobic, because he never mentions anything about religion, culture, skin colour, nothing along the lines of even where they were from. He simply mentions about how these 3 clubs specifically have more money to spend than other clubs, which I think, if you look at the facts and stats and statistics, then that can be something that is found out to be true. And the one thing that I'll say is that the light on this video always, do you know, when little hairs or something are falling out the sky or from the ceiling or wherever they come from, and you just see them and you try and grab it? That's what that was. But back to the original point and premise, I want to ask in the comments down below, do you think that Liverpool fans, on this instance, kind of like usual, the Champions League final, there was this whole agenda it's Liverpool fans who caused all this shit, when it came out recently that UEFA literally made a statement a day before it all happened, implying that obviously they knew something like this was going to go down. And then you've got the whole thing with Hillsborough and the City fans chanting it. But instead, the club don't come out and defend what was a minority, but still should apologise on that front. They never mentions anything about that, but they'll mention about the coin throwing, and they'll mention about xenophobia, which Klopp's comments never linked at all to xenophobia. And just because you lost in a football match, and because it's brought a little bit more attention to what is actually true, which is you do have money. And I hate this concept of like, oh, City don't have money. Every owner is seedy as fuck. We've all got weird owners. They all probably do mad shit. And they've probably got a really dark closet there. Like everyone does on a smaller scale. But because they're rich, they probably have it on a much bigger scale. And I just don't like the idea of why we're trying to fussy about and say that they're not seedy. Like, City fans get so defensive over money. It's so true. Like, I think Chelsea fans, they tried to do it at first, but then they finally just settled in. Like, listen, yeah, we've got money, but we're doing the most that we can with that money. Manchester City fans, I think, or the majority of them, do tend to go away from the money argument and decide to ignore the fact that it is money of why you can go out and build the best youth academy in the world. It is money because you can go out and own 12 other football clubs, which if you've got an injury at left back, or say if one of your left backs are finished, you can go and scoop into any one of those 12 organisations and pick up a player that you so wish. You've got the money to go out and spend big money on multiple different transfers. You might not do the £100 million transfers, well, Jack Grealish, but you will do multiple 50 to 60 to 70 million pound ones, like Rodri and Riyad Mahrez, and I don't know, like Leroy Sané when you bought him. Just a bunch of different examples of constant re-improvements. And how do you get all that re-improvement and investment? It is through money. Now, through the rules and regulations of what's been set today, City have been able to scoot their way around it the same way you see big organisations. For instance, Uber don't have to pay tax. Now, for whatever reason, they don't have to pay tax, which is mainly due to the fact that they're set up all around the world. So when the government come knocking, it's like, me money's there, it's not from here. It's a very thing. They don't turn over a profit, is essentially what I'm saying. And if City can maximise the youth academy to a point where that's making 100 million a summer, and then you've got other avenues where you're bringing in big assets and big names, so shirt sales and stuff like that, it will always come back to the premise of, but we've turned over, we've made more than what we've sold. And that's because you have a lot of money to build these things with that make more money. So it's smart. But it's just, we shouldn't go away from the fact that it is because of the money that you are where you are. And it seems like this agenda isn't just with City fans. It seems like it's with the City fans because it's stemmed from the top. It's like the top of Manchester City, who clearly have had an issue with Jurgen Klopp's comments, have decided to try and make this into something that it's actually not. And if you're a City fan and you think there's any logistical reason to why City have came out and said this statement, I just want to know, where do you think is wrong, or what quote have you identified from Jurgen Klopp that is xenophobic? I didn't know what xenophobic meant yesterday. I do know what it means now. And when you do look at the word for word definition, it just doesn't link, and you're just trying to make anything out of nothing. Now, again, to quote them properly, they said borderline xenophobic. So whatever that means, I'm still seeing the word xenophobic. Therefore, you're trying to imply that my manager is xenophobic. And if he was, I'd come out and I'd call him out and I'd say, listen, that's not good enough. And that's a big shame, because I never thought Jurgen Klopp like that. And I didn't get that from the interview. I don't think City fans would have got that from the interview. But the game never went how you wanted. And I think you're trying to make something out of nothing, because you could have done that straight away. I don't know, it's just a weird one, mate. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm always open to finding out new information which can alter my perspective on the situation. But I think Liverpool fans being categorised as this big bunch of fans who were all throwing coins, it was 3 coins. It weren't right, and it still should be dealt with in terms of justice, and the fans should be banned. But I'm sure they weren't identified, and I'm sure it was probably one person who tried a few times and missed. That's one thing. Don't categorise Liverpool fans. Second of all, don't try and paint out the manager Jurgen Klopp to be xenophobic and the Liverpool fans to be scatty for throwing money, when there was a collective group of City fans singing about Hillsborough, which is disgusting, by the way, because they're clearly uneducated on what happened about it, and they were talking about certain newspapers, let's say, that won't be named on this YouTube channel ever, and especially in this video, talking about how they were right and stuff like that. So if you're not going to come to the stadium with clear education, if you come and just to have a laugh and you're not going to represent your club well, that's something that should be dealt with too. And because that was on a bigger collective scale about something a lot more severe, I would suggest, then I think it's disgusting that hasn't been talked about in the limelight. But all reports will come out and say Liverpool fans were throwing coins at Jurgen Klopp, which if that does, at Pep Guardiola, and if that doesn't back my claim that there's an agenda in some form or way, I've been saying that about a lot of things recently, but I do think there's an agenda, or just a clear lack of education when it comes to certain point of views of the City. Now, I'm not trying to be political. This is just a simple video, me saying that I think recent events have suggested that could be true. But I'm a naive, bow-led Scouser who doesn't know much more than what I see. and the conclusions I come up with. That's why I'm up for discussion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video, people, and I'll see you all in a bit. Peace.